Perfect. Perfect. Hello, Panda. Hello, everybody. Good day and welcome to behind the whatever this is. So the camera's a little skewed so I could squeeze everybody in, so we're kind of crooked. I promise the house has not shifted on a strange angle. But this is, I'm going to figure out a way to be able to stream on the other side of my living room where we have a big couch and stuff, which will be a little bit easier in the future. And that's kind of what we're going to touch on. So right off the bat today, the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating some new characters. We've been chatting about it, preparing for this a long time. I think we started about 7 minutes ago. And we've just, because we were going to play just our regular adventure, but then I'd have to like catch everybody up on what all happened in the past. And then if we ever wanted to do it live again, I'd have to catch you all up on what you missed in the meantime. So what we're going to do is roll a couple new characters for everybody today. We're going to put a new group together. And then the goal here is that this group will be a storyline that I specifically stream. Maybe once a month we'll get together and do a live stream session with this group specifically. That way people who are interested in the story or whatever aren't missing anything, if you will. A little bit. Okay, cool. So yeah, hello, Michael. So yeah, we're going to roll some new characters today. We're just in the beginning steps of that. I'm going to roll an NPC who will be part of the group as well. I didn't tell them that to this second, but I'm going to. And so my NPC will be the filler of holes. Not a pervert, but I will wait and see. Normally, if I run an NPC in a group, I wait to see what they choose, and then I fill in the hole. There's no wizard, I'm the wizard. There's no warrior, I'm the warrior. You know, that type of thing. From the sounds of it, we're going to be roguelite in this party. So I believe this is what we're looking at. Now, we are rolling these 5th edition, and as you know, I'm still learning 5th edition. So some of the stuff we're going to do, we'll be figuring it out on the way, and those of you who've been playing 5th may have been able to help answer some of these questions. This is my wife, Heather. This is my other wife, I'm just kidding. This is Ashley, known as Smashley in the community. And this is Jim, my other husband. So overall, it's just a big old Draven sandwich you got when the camera's not on, and sometimes when it is. But that's my OnlyFans, and we'll talk about that later. I have, right now, I believe what we're thinking of is, and you may say, but Draven, that race and class combo doesn't work in 5th edition. Mergedworlds, I can do whatever I want. My wife Heather is looking at a Tiefling Druid. Jim is looking at a Turtle Wizard. I very small experience with turtles. And did we decide?
I'm just kidding.
She's going to be an it. I don't know. It's a clown of some kind, I've heard. You're going to do Wood Elf? Wood Elf Ranger?
Yeah.
Wood Elf Ranger. Okay. So I've got a Druid, a Ranger, and a Dragon Turtle. I'm just kidding. A Turtle Wizard. So I will play some form of rogue. So we're good. That's looking like our party setup at this point. So as you know, we're going to start with we're going to start from scratch. I didn't want to get a jump start on it because rolling the characters and putting them together is a big part of the fun of D&D. And, some of the ways I do things might be slightly different than the ways that you'd played them. Mine are based on the years I've been doing it. And, even though I've tried to tell everybody how that works, I've undoubtedly forgot something. So this will be a way to kind of see my process. So, yeah, we're going to work out something cool for maybe a monthly D&D session. A much better setup. Like I said, I've got much more room over there. I think that because I don't have to have anything else running, I can probably stream this based off one of our laptops. I just have to get it all set up over there. The camera quality maybe, but we'll get it figured. Cool. All right. So, starting with a character. We're going to need scratch paper. Oh, look, I have some. Hey, interesting fact. Can I see this for a minute? This is his prong paper folder. I'm going to say this is something that silly thing that I got made fun of. Move to your country. What do you call this type of thing? A folder. Yeah. You know what we call it in Canada? Huh. a duotang. That probably sounds weird as hell, but the primary company that makes these in Canada is a company named Duotang, and it's printed on the back. So everybody calls it a duotang. So when I moved down here and I asked where I could get a duotang, I got a lot of really interesting looks and laughs in my face. I had that with several things. In Canada, a couch is called a Chesterfield for the exact same reason. Way back in the early 1900s or stuff like that, when people ordered off like a Sears catalog, that was the company that made all the furniture for Sears, and that was what was shipped to your barn or house that you farm kind of shit. So I had to learn to disassociate brand names from some of this. Okay, we will need writing utensils. I have a pen. I have a pen. I have better pencils. Yes. Bic extra strong. The lead is 2 to 3 times stronger and this one? Yeah. I bust all the time. You just have them. It was like $3. When I got into really writing Merged World, I was like snap, 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 and I was going through a whole pencil of lead every 5 minutes. I gotta have something sturdier than that. Yeah. So I went ahead and I got myself this. I have a feeling I'm going to. So, well, no, and there's nothing wrong with that. I very commonly roll several NPCs because here's how a lot of this works. Again, folks, I'm chatting between you and chatting between them. Sometimes when people have got some experience under their belt, I'll let them roll 2 characters. So you have 2 characters. That's really helpful when you have me and 2 players. Then you have a 4-man group. That's what Darsh and Mercy and Artemis and Dandy were. 2 people playing 2 characters each. When I started that group, it was 4 people with 2. They'd never played before. A mistake that I made, or I'll make again, because then immediately we had 8 characters in the group, and it was too many characters to adequately challenge them with level-based stuff that was the level they should fight. You know what I mean? 8 characters, one's a ranger, one's a minotaur, one's Fig, who is a gnome but still a powerhouse. You know, I throw a couple kobolds in there, they don't last it long enough for somebody else to get a hit in. So that's why in the original Merge World story, the 2 groups went. It's how I split those in half, so I had 2 4-man groups. So it was easier to DM, and it gave me the option of 2 completely different storylines, so we could bounce back and forth. And then 2 of the players dropped out and killed all their characters. So it made it way easier in the long run. Well, I didn't kill all the characters. Big still. Shadow dead. Willow's dead. Characters killed Zarin. That wasn't my. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the basics. I'm going to need. I'm going to grab your sack. This is a very nice dice bag. Really? Cool. I'm going to grab Jim's sack and pull some dice out. And we're going to do some rolling of stuff. So the way I do, and this isn't like a Draven original, this is kind of common for most things. Heads up, the audio seems to cut out sometimes when you're turned really far away. May need to turn up the sensitivity. That I can do. Yes. Thank you very much. I'll also move the mic closer to my face. So I'll also try to look at the camera more while I'm talking. The way I roll characters is you roll 4 6-sided dice, drop the lowest one. You do that 6 times. Then you do it again in a second group. You can choose the first group or the second group, and then you can place those 6 wherever you want. Excuse me. But if you have a group of 6 that you really like but has one crap roll, you got to figure that out. So, everybody have some paper? Mm-hmm. 2 for myself and 2 for you. You get to start today, lady. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to roll the dice, and you're going to write the numbers down in a row. Yeah, probably should. Okay, what do we got here? We have 15. Write a 15 down. Do it again. Now, I'm very lucky because since I'm rolling NPCs, I'll give them whatever I want. 18. Wow, good roll. You have very good dice, whoever's dice. 18. Wow. I don't know if we need to roll anymore. You just go 2. 13. Still good. Really, it's my opinion. Anything at 10 or above is a good number. Plus racial adjustments. There we go. 6. All right. The equalizer kicked in. Yin and yang, baby. Yin and yang. 11. Still one. Not bad at all. And one more. 10. So 2 relatively high ones, the 18 and the 15. The 18 itself is really good. So now you're going to do the same thing, but make another row going. Okay? Normally we'd all do this at once, but since we're doing it here. Let's see here. That's 13. Over here. I was thinking, well, you guys are rolling, it might be easier. 10. No, 11. Sorry, 11. 11. And a large part of tonight may be creating the characters and setting up the party. 13. But we will. This will give me an opportunity to make a storyline that would fit for us. And then when we actually, since this was kind of a last minute thing, 17. Good roll. We're doing it kind of short tonight. We'll be doing it for probably 2 or 3 hours or whatever. But when we set this type of thing up for the future, we may do like a 6-hour session or something.
That was great.
Hey, Jenga, settle down over here. 13. But yeah, so, you know, when we actually are going to, like, say, once a month, sit down and play this in front of everybody, I've got time to set this up, and I can get, like, a cape and a hat. You know, the important stuff I need as a DM. Then we can do a longer session. That's a 10. Okay. Miss Smashley. Power yours. That's a highest 3 numbers. Okay. A 12 for her first roll. And I am the type of DM that, like, if you really want to play a specific class that has racial requirements, I'm fine working with you on making some adjustments so you get that class. We may have to minimize or bump down something else, but I want you to have fun and play. So I'm going to work with you. Sorry. Which one? Messing with her mojo. Mm-hmm. Any bad rolls now will completely be blamed on him. Yeah. Any good rolls she'll take responsibility for because she took back the power, you see. Bad rolls are still his fault. Six, yes, that's correct. 6 ability. Wow, good roll.
Yeah, that's the only roll out of the whole game.
No, they're all good. Now another set. She's got a 6 over here. I'm just saying. That's a good roll. If it's 15 or above, that's good. So, yeah. And then portals, I don't have any information on them, so I'm going to have to figure out where those guys are. Actually, while we're doing this a little bit, we pull up some information on what a turtle does.
What is the
Let's see. Chocolatey treat. No, something.
Chocolatey treat.
Wow. It came up with Turtle D&D 5th edition and 5th edition Turtle Law degree. I'm interested to see. He's changed his class, folks. We're going Turtle, Attorney at Law. A new class I'm creating. Wow. That's interesting. How we doing?
Fabulous.
Much better second set? Sounds like she's going to want to use her second set.
Yeah, we're going
to. Okay.
Let me to write for you.
Yes, please.
Excellent. Turtle, Attorney at Law, now has a paralegal. She's actually a paralegal. That's the training experience.
West.
Well, yeah, you still are
Once upon
on the
a-
inside.
Once
On the inside, you're still
14.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the
Well-
NPCs that I roll, I will introduce the first time that we play. Game's rolling. Okay. Let's see. Alignment. Orderly ritualistic lives. Okay. 5 to 6 feet tall. 450 pounds. You're a tubby. All right. Natural claw weapons. Odd for a wizard, but okay. Armor. Ill suited to wearing armor. Ample protection. Turtles have finely honed survival instincts. Okay. All right. Well, doesn't give a whole lot there, but it gives us something to start with. I'll take it. Hey, what up, Smitty? We are rolling some characters. No. You're a Typhon. Draven. You're just a Typhon.
We're gonna
No. Sorry, I was answering questions. No, that's something very rare and special. What do we got? Excellent. Well, don't remember, there will be racial adjustments as well. So, itchy ear. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. All right. Let's talk the basics, right? We're going to roll a Tiefling and we're going to roll a Mage. So, that's you, and then you are a Wood Elf Ranger. You're a Ninja Turtle hero and a half shell. Ninja Turtle hero and a half shell. Sorry to bother you this. Should I do the one by Feed the Beast on CurseForge? Or is the one... there is one, yes. The original Sky Factory 3, which can be found on the CurseForge, is the one that I play. That's the... I mean, they're technically both done by Bacon Donut or Dark Hosto, but I do everything on CurseForge, so I've not played the one on Feed the Beast yet. But no, feel free. Questions? You're fine, Smitty. All right. Infernal Bloodlines. We're going to do some reading about this. So, here we go. So, congratulations, you're a druid. So that's basically how this works. So you're a tiefling and you want to be a druid. So let me get to druid because that'll make life easier. I've opened up to druid. How convenient. All right. So here's an interesting question I'm going to throw at you guys. Don't classes have minimal alignment requirements anymore? Because as I'm scrolling through here, I'm not finding them. Like historically, maybe it's just in Paladin, but it used to be, at least in the editions I'm used to playing, Paladins needed some crazy rolls just to exist. But I'm not seeing that in a lot of the classes that I'm coming across in 5th edition, which, again, well, this irritating me. Which, from a DM point of view, it nullifies some things. It kind of sucks some of the magic out of that, in my opinion, of course. But, we'll figure it out. Ranger. Relentless Avenger. No, that's the other one. The Relentless Avenger. Jesus Christ. Creating a Ranger. Which did you... Ranger quick. Dexterity, your highest ability, followed by Wisdom. If you want 2 fighting weapon style, strength higher than dexterity.
Oh, you're reading.
Yeah, that was yours.
Not paying.
You're fine. I rarely pay attention to me either.
I was reading. So.
You're fine. You're fine.
I was like, oh, that's what mine says. It's because.
Yeah, I'm just glancing across to see if there's anything here that has a racial. Hey, Bragg, what's up? We are rolling characters for what is going to be a annual, exactly how often yet, but annual live role-playing group. So this is Jim and Smashley, who you've probably seen chatting in the channel many times. This is my wife, Heather. This is our group. This is how we party. So I'm not seeing any, literally how we party. Okay. Crafting a Ranger quick build. Okay, so yeah, I'm not seeing, oh, here we go. 10 plus your constitution. Yeah. So as far as I can tell, anybody with anything can be a character now. You know what I mean? Like there's no class requirements, which hurts my heart, but that's okay. I mean, I can be a mage and have no good skills and intelligence. You know what I mean? That would hurt my heart. Okay. So, as a druid, see what you're looking at. Or priest. Because these are classes I've not spent as much time looking at 5th edition. The weapons are pretty much the same as 2nd. Saving throws. So it looks like intelligence. Let's see. You can make a druid quickly. Wisdom should be your highest, followed by constitution. Got here. Wow, that's not something we see very often. One moment. Sorry about that, guys. Having to remove some stupid real quick. And okay, fixed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that, Stoner. I'm glad you're feeling better, though. Yeah, that's a bot. I don't normally see him on YouTube, surprisingly. Because we'll satisfy your wishes online. Too late! I'm already doing that for them. Okay, so we all know this is true. So, yeah, that's all right. I blocked it. All right, so for you, lady, for your... oh, candy there. There's a... your primary stat, I would write this down. Put like a W. Wisdom is going to be your highest. Just put that down so we can remember it. And then Constitution after that. Thanks for satisfying your wishes. Hey, you know what? Hang on a second. Glad I could be here for you. So just write the word wisdom, and then underneath that write Constitution. Those are the two. That's your top 2 skills. Okay, there we go. And Ashley, we already said yours, right? And then Wizard. All right, I like this. Oh, is that what they're called now? Yeah. Well, I guess.
Sorcerer and wizard.
Interesting.
What's the difference?
That one's a... I don't find out. Let's see.
Spelling?
Sorcerer. Appearance the search of a wildly unpredictable. Some draconic bloodlines produce exactly 1 sorcerer in every generation. Wizard takes 13 int. Oh, there we go. Feel like multi-class rules apply to picking a class 2, like how you need at least 13. Yeah, I would think so, right? I would think there should be some minimum requirements, right? So far in 5th, the racial bonuses are still here. Yeah, in the player's handbook for that's basically. Sorcerers are basically the equivalent of like mages. It looks like. You may want to aim more towards wisdom.
That's fine.
Just to make this doable. Okay. Okay, wizard, which I assumed is going to say what I need here. Intelligence should be your highest, of course. That's understandable. That's interesting. Followed by... This is for him now.
Write down what these mean.
Constitution or dexterity? Dexterity I could understand. You don't get to wear a lot of armor. You want to be quick to get away with stuff. But I'm intrigued by Constitution. I guess you need hit points. Oh, another one? Wow. Really? Another one. Hey, thank you, Panda. Pay more attention. Oh, you're fine. Charisma base instead of intelligence. Yeah, wizard going to be more our speed for this. We can always convert later. All right, good deal. So your big thing is going to be intelligence and then dexterity or constitution, which I guess it makes sense because you don't get a lot of armor, so constitution helps your hit points, helps your defense. That's 2 good perks to, staying alive. Aha. Staying alive. Cause you can't tell by them. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna create a bard and name him BG. Wait a minute, I'm thinking. I'm gonna put a pin in that. All right, so very cool. All right, so these are our basics. So now we have to choose our character classes. I want to say I thought I had some spare character sheets. I bought the big packet. Came. See if there's anything in there that's. Give me that. I think that's just the. Thought there was some. Thought character sheets came with the big pack. That's where we got ours from. Yeah, that's the DM screen. Oh wow, that's a DM screen. Yeah, I'm. Just don't remember where I put it. I'm trying to see if it's in here. Today. Huh.
We found.
Did?
Yes.
Excellent. I knew we had some character sheets. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. Here you go. Character sheets. For everybody. Character sheet. Yeah, you can set that one
This is
back
good
over.
quality paper.
That's my spec.
It came with the full. Yeah. I mean, it came part as the kit. I think it better not be cheap stuff. By God, I'll take it back. All right. Jim has the funniest smile that he ever that he never lets leave. They like the fact that you.
Welcome to my life.
There we go.
Every day, all the time.
Which very often, probably not appreciated. Which something we smiles too much. Sometimes you're not in the mood for smiles.
That's true.
See,
That's true. Every now and then, just
I read them like a pop-up book with an accompanying audio tape. So, my wife Heather is going to play a tiefling druid. We have a wood elf ranger, and we have a turtle. Turtle, right? Turtle wizard. There we are.
Have a Tony.
What's that?
Tony.
You're gonna name him Tony?
Yeah, Tony the turtle.
Tony the turtle. He's great. But yeah, I'm fine with that. Have I played Raft? Yes, I've streamed a playthrough of Raft up until the point you get to the city. I want to say some new stuff has come out since then, but I haven't played it that. I played majority of it anyway. All right, so we need to choose our stats here. So, starting with the two big numbers, right? Mm-hmm. Have you looked at your racial adjustments?
Yeah. I get plus. Regular.
Okay, do you lose anything? Okay, sometimes there's a win and a lose there. Let me see what Tortle's got. Tortle, you get 2 to your strength and 1 to your wisdom. So what I would do is on your scrap paper where you have your thing, write down the ones you want and then add the number.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, and Heather the tiefling, you get. Let's see what you get. I don't remember. You get intelligence by 1 and charisma by 2. You're very attractive. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna work on your character. Okay, so we have to decide which one of these we want to use. This one is good generally. This one has really high points and really low. So do you want to be more of an average type character with a kind of good? Or do you want to be really good and kind of bad? It depends on your play style. If me personally, you're playing a druid, I would go with this one and take the big
I'll do that
skill.
one.
Okay. So your primary stat was what? Wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So put it across that. Put a line right through these here, so we're not using. Okay. So put a W next to your 18 because that's going to be your wisdom. Okay? Right in front of it. Okay. And then you guys already got yours. Okay.
What'd you say?
You are going to get a +2 to strength and a +1 to wisdom. So write a W there, right? And then for you, we said the next one was going to be Constitution. So you want your next highest number to be Constitution. That's going to be your. Put a C there. All right. And then after that, you're going to be a Druid. See if they've changed anything. Give me a second. Let's see. Saving throws, Constitution. So that's good. That makes sense. Okay. I would do relative strength because you're going to be relative amazing. So 13 would be strength. And then dump stat. Normally I'd say it's charisma. For a druid, I would put your charisma the 6. Put CH next to that one. And then that gives you dexterity 11 and intelligence 10. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Now you have racial ability. You get pluses to some of those. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, you get 2 added to... I know I should have this all memorized, and I apologize, folks, that I haven't. But for Mike in the middle... Yeah, like I said, what I'm going to do here is... I'm going to be setting up a different section. Like, we're going to be playing over... on the other side of this room when we actually play this. I'm going to have a very different setup. Today was kind of a last minute threw together because of my schedule. How long is the stream? I figured we'd run 2 or 3 hours, maybe till, is that okay with you guys? We start at 8:30, maybe run to like 11:30. Is that okay? Okay, something like that. Yeah. Let's see. The other side. So my basement is a big L-shaped room. There's actually a video on my channel that shows you a tour of this before I remodeled it. Looks very cool. You should check it out. But you will see, I don't have a way, my camera's bolted in, so I don't have a way of really moving the webcam. But I have a living room side over there. This is a very large room. I got big full refrigerators and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to set up the living room area to be, here's my goal. I'm going to try to have a camera over there and a camera here so I can DM here while you see them over there. Is the goal. So I'm going to see how I got to wire up another webcam. I think I can make that work. So bear with me. We're not going to be doing this within the next 7 days, so I've got a little bit of time to put it together. Okay, so Heather, you get your intelligence. Which one was your intelligence? That one? Mm-hmm. You get to add 1, so make that 11. Okay. And then charisma, the one that was your low number, you get to add 2 to that. That's why making it a dump stat made sense, because you're going to get 2. 8's still not a bad. That's, at least in 2nd edition, that's average. 8 to 11 is considered average in an ability. We will also do luck. That's correct. So I do a luck skill. And for luck is a 7th ability where you add your 6 regular abilities and then divide them by 6. So an average of your abilities is what gives you your luck skill. So here's what you're going to do. So you're going to put those in spots. So that's strength. So strength number and write it in there. Strength. So, one community new game you said could be in January of 2021. I remember a lot of things that started at the beginning of 2021, and then the world went to hell. I had a lot of things in 2020 too. A lot of things went funky. But, I'm working on trying to put things together. While they're kind of writing these numbers down, I'll do a quick reminder as well. Tomorrow's stream on Twitch is going to end a little bit earlier than normal. I'm only going to stream till midnight because the next day on Saturday, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour Extra Life charity stream on Twitch. So I'll be streaming 24 hours straight. I'm thinking about running noon till 11 because time technically changes Saturday night. So that's still 12 hours. So I'm thinking I'm going to be starting at noon on Saturday and streaming for 24 hours. Bunch of different fun games and events. I'll be doing a bunch of stuff. Going to be doing a few things the community might be able to jump in and play as well. All in the hopes of raising some donations for charity. 24 hours? Yep, I did it last year too. And last year I did it in the middle of dealing with kidney stones. It was much worse. This year should be a breeze. Letting people know there'll be some special events. One of the special one is going to be the ODG sandwiches. Very excited about those. I'm going to have a large amount of different types of foods, from icing to pudding to the different condiments, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. And then during a certain 1 or 2 hour period, anybody who donates a certain amount gets to pick one. And that goes on the sandwich. And I just start making sandwich out of, whatever it is you guys donate to have me eat on there. Then I'm going to eat the sandwiches. I may have more than one sandwich so we can mix them up. But that's why I'm going to stop a little bit early on tomorrow night, just so I can get a little bit of extra sleep, so I'm prepped for the 24 hours. I have stayed awake for 24 to 36 hours a horrendous amount of times in my life. It's as long as I can get a good 6 to 8 hours sleep ahead of time, I won't have any problem. Plus, to be honest with you, in the middle of it all and having fun and chilling with people, I'll feed off that energy. It makes it much easier to stay awake when I've got people to chill with. So, I am an energy vampire. I will suck you dry. Stop smiling. See, you immediately went to smiling. Sick bastard. Okay, so we have your basic stats, right? Okay, so I should probably have one of these in front of me so I could see. We're gonna again. We rolled 5th edition characters 6 months ago at this point. It's the first time we've done it since. So up here, write Druid. And write your class at the top. Got that done? Cool. Jim, for your turtle, they crawl for a few weeks after birth. Before learning, you reach adulthood by 15, live an average of 50 years. So, well, let's say you're 16. You've just recently reached adulthood. I'd like to give you as much time as possible. Okay. So you're 16, fresh from the egg, if you will. You stand between 5 and 6 feet tall. You can roll for it, you can just pick. I'm fine. And then an average of 450 pounds, Tubby. So write that down. 450 pounds. You can punch people. You have claws. If you hit with your claws, you do 1d4 plus your strength modifier. Yeah, okay. The thing that'll go in the little brackets when we get those. Yep. Okay. Oh, no. The +2 is what you added. The modifier will be the number that's in the player's handbook based on your thing. Yeah. I'm just giving you some of the stuff about your class because I had to look it up specially. You can hold your breath for up to 1 hour at a time. Turtle. But at the same time, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. That, to be honest, I mean, but it says you're not a natural swimmer because turtles suck in the water. But that's really handy if you've got to go into like a poisonous gas area. You'd be like, how do we get through? I got this. Just go hoofing it across at reasonable speeds.
Yeah, what is
see?
Is it going to take us forever?
No. It says base speed is 30. You can walk regular speed.
That's fine.
But if you're running in a hurry, you will drag down the pack. Okay? So an average walking speed, but you are a tubby. So when it comes time to run, or if you're climbing, we're going to have some conversations. You're like, I'm going to climb this hill. No, you're not. But we'll figure something out there. But the 1 hour breathing thing, that's helpful. You can't wear crap for armor, which is great because you're a wizard. You couldn't do that anyways. But you get a base armor class of 17 because of your shell. You do not get to use your dexterity modifier, but that's already an incredibly good armor class. So you can write that on your see anything else for you? You can withdraw into your shell as an action. Until you...
That's awesome.
This is going to be an interesting party. Let's see. You get when you're in there, you get a +4 to your armor class, making it even harder to hurt you. And you have an advantage on strength and constitution saving throws. While in your shell, you are prone. Your speed is 0 and can't increase. That makes sense. Your arms aren't sticking out. You can't take reactions. The only action you could take is to get out of your shell. Okay? It says you get a proficiency in the survival skill. So wherever proficiencies are, I'd write that down, or if they're listed, just put a little check next to it. Yeah, you get that. I think the spot next to it is where you write the modifier that would affect that, but we'll dig those out in a moment. You also can speak, read, and write Common and Aquan. Aquan. So you and Aquaman chilling out on the weekends. Like, that's all I know from your character here. Let's see. Energy vampire does not invite you according to D&D rules and may not enter. But I'm a born vampire from Draven's world. Rules are completely different. Yes. But again, I mean, for a mage, that's awesome. What a great combo. Technically, you probably can't even supposed to be a mage, but in my world, you can do it. Can someone fling you like in Mario? If they can throw 450 pounds, yeah, sure. You know, which is good and bad. You might not want to do that fighting a hill giant. You stick your head out and all you're flinging through the air like a turtle frisbee. You know what I mean? The more important question is, if he retracts into his shell, can they sled down a snowy hill on his back?
We need to know that.
When they reach the bottom, his head will pop out as well as a tube of snow that was in the hole, you know what I mean? I think we can work with that. That sounds fun to me. All right, so that's some of your turtle abilities. Which one are you? Raphael, Michelangelo. I wasn't sure which turtle he was going with. Now, if you'd have made him a monk, that's a ninja turtle. All right, sweetie, let's do yours. So, for a tiefling, see what you got for skills here. Regular age. So you can be 18, wherever age is. Is age on here somewhere? Is age on this character sheet?
It's on the back.
It's on the back.
Oh,
back.
okay. Next to eyes, put yes. I'm just kidding. I like to put silly things like that.
Can I put red eyes?
No. Well, I'll have to see. It's in here. So 18. Okay.
18 for age.
Yes, 18. You're not naturally evil, but most tieflings end up there eventually, it says. You don't have to be evil. I'm just saying. You don't have to be. You have the same speed he does, so you're not slow then. I wasn't sure. I don't do a lot with movement speed. I use a very special kind of movement chart that I've created over the years called common fucking sense. Right? Like, I mean, to be honest with you, you're like, I'm going to run over the hill. Okay. I'm going to run like the Flash. No, you're not. You're going to run average speed. If you have a high strength and constitution dexterity, you might have a little bit of extras there. If you have the same relative stats and you're running next to someone who's twice your size, they're going to get further faster. They have longer legs. It's common sense, right? Hey, what up, G-Dude? G'day. So it's just one of those things where, you know, common sense situations. I'm going to run over the hill. Okay, fine. I'm going to do it while carrying the turtle. No, you're not. That's too much. You can't run while carrying the turtle. So it just, you know, there's special, we take it situation by situation. I also am not a person who uses encumbrance. Again, with encumbrance, it's common sense, right? I want to carry 3 swords. All right, might be a little awkward. I want to carry an anvil. No. But, well, depending on your strength. Probably not. But I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not going to make you, okay, I have 3 candles. They weigh this much. That's too nitpicking for me. So common sense, right, is all I'm really, really looking for. If you want to carry something large and are willing to ahead of time be aware there's a negative for doing so, that's cool. I've had a character many, many years ago in the early days that had a huge flag with a banner on it and carried it all the time. That was his thing. Before he would draw a weapon, he would plant his banner, which was great until you're dungeon crawling. And he's constantly poking everybody else in the back with his banner thing and tripping people when they're tripping, wrapping it up and it getting unfurled. Because I'm like, he's like, I'm taking it with me. I'm not leaving my banner. Because he was a paladin and that was part of his character. He was very part of an order and that was a big deal for him. So you want to do fun things to add to your character. I'm all about that. We just got to make it realistic to a degree. Geodude says, never played D&D yet, but I'm learning the rules to play. And he recommended tips. Have fun. That's the big thing, right? And I say that, everybody says that. But if you're not having fun, somebody's doing something wrong. If there's somebody in your party who is causing everyone else to not have fun, it doesn't matter the situation. Find a way to remove them or talk to them like this is what you're doing. Being open with the DM of like, I would be having more fun if this was going on. It's very helpful if you have a DM that has some experience. It's not required. Some people are just naturally good at storytelling. But if you have someone in the group who's experienced, at least the first time you play, they should run, even if it's a store-bought adventure, just get a little bit of experience under your belt because they're going to know a little bit more about the specs and how the roles work. That's another thing. The other thing is that the Dungeon Master is God. Whatever he says, go. And that's something I stress a lot. I don't mean that from an egotistical point of view. There are times I'm going to say, no, you can't do something. I may have let you do that exact same thing before. I may not tell you why you can't do that now, but I can't because that's going to give away something. All you know is you can't do that. And that may seem frustrating. I've done it 5 times. Yeah, something's not letting you do it now. That in itself is a hint. Why can't I? That's a clue for you to start trying to figure out what's causing this limitation, asking questions, looking around. Use that as a cue to role play and not get frustrated because the DM won't let you do something. There's usually a reason behind that. And it's a lot of fun to use that as a cue to find out why. Somebody cast a spell on me and I didn't know it. I do that all the time. Fun rule overrides the DM rule. Fun rule only works if the DM's having fun. And again, I don't mean that from an egotistical point of view. If the DM is not enjoying what he's doing, he's not going to give a fun experience to the other people. If I'm mad that I'm DMing and I hate it, I'm not going to be giving you a fun time. The DM has to be having fun and has to be enjoying the content. If not, put the brakes on it. Roll some different characters, do something a little different, give somebody else a chance to DM, take a break from it. It's important to remember everybody has to be having fun. If the DM's having a great time and the players hate it, that's even worse. I've always been a firm believer of the difference between storytelling and dungeon masters. Storytelling, I am telling you a story. As a dungeon master, I'm running a story. I am creating a story that you are participating. And where that story goes is horrendously going to be based on what you do when it's your turn to affect the story. I can sit and tell you a story all day. If I won't let you do stuff because it'll ruin my story, it's not going to be fun for you. So it has to be a two-way street. They have to, if you have players that are specifically trying not to do your story to be a turd, it's going to ruin it for the DM as well. Everybody's got to be fair to each other. So just some things off the top of my head I would throw at. Trust the DM. Yeah, trust the DM, definitely. Until it's time to not trust the DM. Like, don't trust the DM when he's smiling. That's really bad for you. But trust the DM when he's telling stories and things like that. That's not to say that at the end of the day, you turn out like, wow, that person's not a very good DM. We shouldn't trust him. Give them their shot, right? And maybe consider swapping somebody else in. You're very welcome. All right, and then Michael posts an incredibly good one. The books are guidelines. As long as the party, the group as a whole, are like, yeah, we don't like this rule. Let's change it to this, and this is how it's going to be from now on. All day long, man. I change rules every time I play D&D. Especially now that I'm doing 5th edition, and I don't like half of it. I've been playing 2nd edition for 30 years. So I'm just learning 5th edition now, and part of that's me stuck in my ways as an old curmudgeony man. But it's important to me to try to acclimate to 5th as much as possible, because that's what a lot of folks are walking into my streams having experience with. I want to be able to relate to them as I bring more D&D content to my channels. Let's see. Hello, Edel. Hello, Noble. I always mess up Noble. Okay, let us roll forward a little bit with some character creation here. Alignment. You're good. One of the goods. So you've got chaotic good, neutral good, lawful good. That's a good one. You are a druid. Probably one of the goods are neutrals. It just kind of depends on what kind of druid you want. Let me give you an example. Are you a people-hating druid that wants to be in the forest all the time and has been drug out for some reason and you're mad that you have to deal with other people? Or are you someone who enjoys people, but you're using those relationships to try to protect nature in some way? You can be either. I'm fine with you being people-hater. You'll be the second one. Okay, that's cool. You cross the slate. Good, you can be a neutral, you can be an evil. For you not to be an evil, it's more fun for everybody, I find, when you don't have evil characters. But it's whatever you'd like. If you want to be neutral or good, there are ranges in there as well. So, and alignment, of course, many of you may be experienced with this. I'm going to cover those. There's good, neutral, evil, right? Lawful, chaotic, there's neutral. Groups, I find, use these in different ways. So I'm going to show you the way that I use them. We're going to start at the top of all holy goodnesses. Lawful good. That's your paladin. Will not break a law. Will not tolerate my friends to break a law. Then we have neutral good. I'm a really good person. I try to always do the good thing as much as possible. Occasionally I may slip. But I'm still working towards the good. Chaotic good. I am a good person, but I will get my hands dirty to make sure good things get done. Sometimes a good person has to do a bad thing. Then you got your neutrals, okay? This is the one where people very often run it differently than I do. I run it the exact same way. Lawful, true neutral, chaotic neutral. Lawful neutral. I'm neutral, but I kind of lean more towards good occasionally. Like, I get along better with good people, but in the run, I'm really kind of looking for myself. True neutral, okay? I believe in the balance. Even if good is too powerful, that's going to throw off the balance of existence. That's not a good thing. So I'm here to work towards good or evil. Very often you're trying to offset evil, especially if you're playing a neutral character, because most of the villains in the stories are evil. So you're trying to help keep that balance by defeating evil and keeping it from getting too powerful. Then you have chaotic neutral. I'll do some good stuff, but as long as I'm doing something that makes me happy, I'm okay. I'm out for number one. I will betray someone on occasion if I need to, if it benefits me. I'm the first one to leave the battle and abandon my friends if it means saving my own life. Doesn't mean you are going to do that. Saying you are the most likely person to do that. But you can still be loyal to friends and allies. Doesn't mean you have to do that. Then you got your evils. Now the evils flip the other way around, depending on how you play it. You got chaotic evil, neutral evil, and lawful evil. Now, a lot of people play chaotic evil as the worst one. Some people play lawful evil as the worst one. Neutral evil is you're evil. Same kind of thing as good. I'm evil. I do what I need to do, but I don't really consider myself evil. I'm just doing what I think I need to do for what is right. Lawful evil means you adhere to evil. I'm all about the evil. This is how I roll. I am lawful evil. I understand that I'm evil. I accept that, but I'm still going to do this for my benefit. Chaotic evil, you're a frickin' nutbag. You do evil because it's fun. You do evil because you like to do bad things. You like to hurt people. That's my scale. Just to throw that at you guys. That's kind of how I run alignments. I've run across parties that use very different and very similar. Just depends on your group. So, Wizard. True neutral. I love it. Excellent. My first character ever was a chaotic good minotaur and a chaotic neutral. They both died. Yes.
Which one?
We said for you, we're probably going to swing chaotic good or neutral good, I would think. Yeah, we said we want to see which one do you want to do, the more you're friendly with people. For right now, let's put you lawful neutral. LN. You just put LN. I think that would make a little bit more sense for, I think, the type of character you want to play. I know my wife well enough to think that, but again, some of these things we're doing right now might tweak a little bit before we actually jump in and hardcore get into some of this stuff. But this is, the basic general here. Is there a way to bring back you Chader? I have to apologize, G-Dude. I'm not sure what that means. I apologize. Okay. You, under abilities, I guess you can write that here somewhere. You have 30, no you don't. You have 60 feet night vision. You ready? Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, you wrote that really. Okay. You have resistance to fire damage, called Hellish Resistance. This is interesting. Is there a way to bring back a character? Yes, if a character dies, that depends on your DM. If a character dies, yes, there are multiple different ways you can do that in the game. There are magic items and artifacts you can get a hold of that give you that ability. I find that some DMs give those away way too easily or early in an adventure, and that can take away the early part of the game when you're learning to be careful to not die. The most common way is to find a temple or priest strong enough to cast a spell to bring you back. Usually it's going to be really expensive, or they're going to require you to do something in trade. potentially after. They may say, okay, we're going to bring your friend back, but then the 4 of you have to go get this magic artifact in the middle of this war-torn country that's ruled by a dragon. So the DM should make it that you have to pay one way or another. But yes, there are many ways to bring your character back depending on how you die. There are some ways you cannot come back. Disintegrate is that one. Disintegrate is a spell that kills you, and even wish can't bring you back. And anything that causes a disintegrate spell, such as a beholder or a sphere of annihilation, which is a magical item. Sphere of annihilation looks a lot like a portable hole from an old Bugs Bunny cartoon. And you can slap that on the wall and climb through it. That's called a portable hole. It's a magic item. Sphere of annihilation looks the same way, and anything that goes in there is erased from existence. So if you stick your arm in, you're pulling a nub back out. You don't know which is which until you put something in there. Just saying. Never crawl into a portable hole in an emergency without testing it first. You have the Thaumaturgy cantrip. And you get other spells as you level up. Okay? This is the stuff I gave him about his turtle with the swimming and the holding the breath and stuff. Neutral evil sorcerer surely doesn't care. Party members get caught in her fireballs. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. No, you're good, dude. I just want to make sure I was answering the right question for you. I usually don't allow evil characters. I know that sounds bad from a point of view. 99% of the time, in my experience, it takes away from the game. Unless you're playing an all-evil party. I've done that. That's fun. You can do an all-evil party. But if you stick evil and like really good characters in a group, the story gets off the rails so fast. And it's hard to motivate everybody in the party. We should go save this princess. Why? There's nothing in it for me. It gets too troubling. So, unless there's a very specific reason that we discuss ahead of time, I usually shy away from evil characters. All right. You got Thaumaturgy written down. You can just remember this, but you can speak, read, and write Common and Infernal. Okay. Do you like me to look up yours?
It means.
Sorry, I'm learning about her ranger.
Means that.
The predator, basically what I'm learning. Don't move and you blend in real well. Cool. I like that. That's a cool spell. That's not something that naturally comes in 2nd edition. I think that's a good addition. Like I said, sometimes 5th edition stuff, they bring some good stuff to the party. I like that. Well, anything else? That was the elfy things. Okay, so now we're going to move into the class things. And there's more druid things for you, Heather, like equipment and such. Oh, I guess we should do this. Weapons. There's a bunch of weapons you can use. But what weapon would you like to be your primary weapon? I will give you options. I'm about to read them to you. For druid, you have clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaff, scimitar, sickles, slings, and spears. Not on there. You have to pick one. I mean, you can have several of them, but I'm saying normally most people have a primary weapon. So again, look at type of carry. Do you want like a big wooden club? There's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. Daggers or darts don't really seem your speed. Again, knowing what I know of my wife. Javelins, probably not so much. That's not to say you may not want some later as a ranged thing, but that wouldn't be your primary. A mace. Mace, potentially I could see you doing that. Quarterstaff. Not a staff person. Okay. Scimitar, cursed swords. Okay. Sickle. That's the hand curved ones. No. Sling. That might be something you'd use as a range. That'd be a good backup weapon for you. Okay. Sling and sling stones. And a spear. So kind of like quarterstaff with a spear on the end.
Either the spear.
Morning, or the mace. Spear or the mace. Well, why not take both? And you can carry the spear. You can throw the spear. And you also have the mace to pull out and bonk if you need to. You don't drop the spear. That sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so where's your weapons? I have to figure out where weapons are. Weapons written down somewhere? Still learning the 5th edition page.
Do you mean the proficiency?
Oh, there they are. Okay, cool. So write spear and then write mace. Jim, you're a wizard. You're very limited. Not mentally, though. Super smart. Get to wizard. I'm in, what is it? Soldier? Oh, I went way past. All right, let me see. That's the sorcerer again. Again, I normally would have been a little bit more prepared for this ahead of time if this kind of became warlock. Oh, I forgot about that. So what I'm going to do, I should show this Lady Draven with the bunk stick. I like that. I like that. I'm going to, when I choose NPCs to run in the group, I'm going to try to, at least one of them, I'm going to target something I don't have experience with. Something that's very 5th edition. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to try to do something very 5th edition to break myself into having that knowledge of that type of character. And then the other one, I may do something I'm very comfortable or normal with, just so that I have something, not have to do that double thinking. Not very smart. Wizard. Oh, Mr. Wizard. Daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, and wow, they added light crossbows, huh? Wow. Okay. That honestly makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, I don't like it, but I guess if you're going to give a weapon, light crossbow makes sense. So, I mean, you can use as many of those. Daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaff, or light crossbow. So as a main melee, it's dagger or quarterstaff. You're either a wizard knife fighter or a wizard with a staff. Okay. Staff is probably the smart one. And then for your ranged, you can take dagger, dart, sling, or light crossbow. You can have more than one. You can have two. This is me giving a piece of advice to characters. A lot of times, people's instincts are to take really, really unusual weapons. The chance of finding a magical version of that is drastically diminished by the more exotic the type of weapon. Not everybody's walking around with a magic nunchuck. But a magic sword, probably. You know? So when creating your character, there's nothing wrong with being exotic, as long as you walk into the knowledge that you may not find a magic item of that nature. At the same time, what we just talked about, of those weapons, daggers and staves are two of the most easy things to find that are magical. There's a bajillion magical daggers out there. From a +1 dagger all the way up to crazy... I have one called Earthbolt Dagger, that when you stab it into the ground, it electrocutes everybody in a 30-foot radius, except for the person holding the dagger. I made that. There's a lot of crazy daggers out there, and there's a lot of cool staves. So for a wizard, I normally lean towards dagger or staff. But having a light crossbow loaded so you can fire one off and then drop it and do the rest of your stuff, it also sounds kind of cool to me. Especially if they're going to let you do that. You couldn't do that in 2nd edition. Rogue and a barbarian. It's not a bad idea. I may think about that. Barbarians I've played. They've had barbarians. Rogue, I need some kind of rogue. We have no rogue in this party. But I'm thinking we may need another melee character. It just depends on how melee she rolls. That's what we're going to have to find out as we're leveling up her character. If she's really melee heavy, I won't need to melee as much if it's a melee druid. If she's more of a caster druid, which I don't even know if that still exists, but if she's a caster druid, then I'll need another melee in there. You are a blender. You have the capability of being, we call Rangers Cuisinarts, because you slices, you dices. You take dual-handed weapon style as a ranger, and you can do some fat damage. So she, even like, I took an elf, that's class is going to give her so much stuff to do. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. But you don't have to go 2 weapons. You could focus more on range. Could be a range. But I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, you could be decent with melee, but motherfucking Robin Hood. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or you could be like, I can shoot a bow and arrow because I got some skills, but when I get up front, you know? And so there's, again, when creating your character, you may have 10 skills, and they may all be equal. Pick one that's your character. Give it a reason for that, right? I've always, I was growing up. I just naturally had a skill with a bow. Shot the wings off of a fly at 30 paces, whatever stuff that. Then I picked up a sword and stabbed my mom. I mean, you got to be like, so I stuck with the bow ever since. You can have options like that. Don't stab your mom. Onlydraven Gaming does not promote stabbing mother or anybody for that. Just throw that out there. But I mean, so when you're rolling your character, you got the thing. Like we talked with Jim about the range and the melee kind of thing, picking the right weapons with her. It's really two different styles. Same with her as a druid. Is she very animal, secluded? I want lots of magic abilities. I stay in the woods. Or is she more of a, I'm out here thumping hunters in the head with a club? It's just kind of the direction she wants to take that character. And both of those basically have the same abilities. When you look at a player's handbook, that's the flair you're bringing to your character. That's your style, your role-playing. Usually you have a reason for that. My mom was a deer and she was killed by a hunter. I mean, that's weird, but it's just an example, right? So, when I was 5, I saw Bambi and I've killed hunters ever since. I mean, whatever the reason for her druid could be, right? So that motivation will help style her character, right? And he's a turtle. I don't know what the hell he's going to do. He likes pizza and sewers. I don't know what goes beyond that. We'll figure something out. The worst part is, if he's an apprentice to a rat, I'm the greatest DM of all fucking time. I mean, if I somehow make it that he trained under a rat, a were-rat, he trained under a were-rat wizard named Sliver. And I have a whole storyline planned out for this character in the last 3 seconds. We are going to make this work. I am very excited about this because there's nothing wrong with being a little silly. Have fun with it. In our regular group we play, he plays a gnome monk who's always twirling and hiding behind bushes and stuff, even when everybody else is just walking down the street. And so he does, every time he does a move, he's like, dun dun dun, little James Bond rolls and stuff. That became part of our thing there. It was very funny. Every time he's doing something monkish, I do the James Bond theme, and it's way over the top. It's very fun. So, it's finding that fun, make it fun, right? But you still be serious about it. Killed my master, and now I will find you. I mean, you figure that out. Okay, so for wizard, you get to choose 2 from Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. You get to pick 2 out of those. You may want to, I don't know, put a check mark next to them so you know which one. I'll read them to you again. Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. Yeah, I'm getting that on everybody. I hit him first because he's a turtle. You don't have to do turtles. Except for Turtle. If Turtle's out there,
Where's Turtle?
He's not.
Here?
He's not. He's in a play again, and so he's doing a lot this weekend on his play. So yeah.
We miss you, Turtle.
It says you may have a quarterstaff or a dagger, or if I'm your DM, you can have both. We're going to talk about spells last. We may talk about picking spells after this because I have to. I haven't actually done wizard yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix it. It's broken. I'm going to fix it. Okay. So I haven't even looked at it yet. I already know it's broken. All right. So next will be a ranger. Let me go back to ranger. And this is, to me, I mean, a good D&D session, the whole first session, that's creating your characters. That's coming up with your stuff, right? I mean, I like to have fun with all that. Monk, it'll be after that. P... Damn, alphabetized. Here we are. Want candy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Snack break.
Cool. They're eating candy. So rude.
Is there any Reese's in here?
Yes, they're black. Everything in the bottom is black. There's the little mini Reese's. I got a thing with glow-in-the-dark packages.
Okay, cool.
So there's Reese's, Kit Kats, and the other one. Hershey bars that are just in the black wrapper. All right. Last one shot party had a human that was adopted per a clan of dwarves. Nobody told him, so he thinks he was a very tall dwarf. Hey, that's fun. I like that. Jim's gnome, his whole village was slaughtered, and he was taken in by a group of monks that were humans. So same kind of along those lines. That happens a lot. A lot of people's parents die, and that's why they're a hero. You don't have to do that. Your parents could be a farmer. I'm just saying. I like that. I like when they're like, yes, my father, woodcutter, lives up north. Mother makes pies. Her name's Molly. Okay. Ranger. Wild looking. Yes, I'm Warriors of the Wilderness. Of course, that sounds good. The Ranger might make a living as a hunter, a guide, or a tracker. Ranger's true calling is to defend the outskirts of civilization from the ravages of monsters and humanoid hordes pressing from the world. Rangers gather in secretive orders or join forces with druidic circles. Many Rangers, those are independent, almost to a fault. But if you are going to team up, a druid makes sense.
I know. Of course, we're best friends.
They both play clerics in the other adventure, which also get along real well. So, creating a ranger. Let's see. We already did your strength and stuff like that. We'll do hit points here in a moment. You can wear light. You're the only one here that. I guess you had armor too, but you can wear light armor, medium armor, or use shields. So this is a good question. Are you a melee shield, or are you a melee, or are you a ranged and use melee when you have to?
I do.
Yes. What would you consider your primary then? Are you going to default to arrows and only pull your swords when you have no choice? Or are you going to, I'll shoot a couple arrows and then try to get in close and stab people?
I would prefer to do that. Like, I'm on the way.
Primarily, okay. So you've got your bow and arrow, you got one knocked, you shoot your arrow, and then you charge in and slice things. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yep, that works fine. So you are going to go for 2 weapon style. All right.
Yeah.
You get to choose 3 from the following skills.
Okay.
Little check marks. You can choose from animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. Yes, you get 3. We're going to do yours in a minute. Okay. You want to read them if you want to and see what they do. Just to give you those, and then you can. While I'm doing hers, you guys can look those up and see what you think. Now you have to choose a prime enemy. It's called your favorite enemy. It is the thing you hate above all others, and in a group, you'll do your best to kill those first. Favorite enemy: aberrations, beasts. That's not like a deer. It's something
like turtles.
Like turtles. Definitely hate turtles. Celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giants, monstrosities, oozes, plants, or undead. I'm intrigued.
What is an oozes?
Ooze? Oh, there's all sorts of oozes, slimes, gelatinous cube. All those things are or would fall under the ooze category. Which I like that they've given it a bit more variation there. I'm going to catch up with chat in just a moment. Bear with me. Alternatively, instead, you could select 2 races of humanoid, like gnolls, orcs. I hate gnolls and orcs. I'm going to punch them whenever possible. If you're like, no, death to dragons. I mean, so a classification of monsters or 2 humanoid races. You can think on that. You don't have to pick right now. I'm trying to see what else you have. Advantage on wisdom checks. I'm still trying to figure out what advantage means. That still throws me a little bit. You also learn one language of your choice that is spoken by your favorite enemy, if they speak. You cannot speak ooze. But if you pick, like dragon or something like that, or orc or half-orc, you can speak one of those. Natural explorer. While traveling for an hour or more in your favorite terrain. Oh, you get a favorite terrain, too. Oh. Arctic, coast, desert, forest, grassland, mountains, swamp, or underdark. You're not a drow, so stay with me. You can actually benefit your parties traveling in that area because you're so good at it. And the 2 weapon style and all that stuff, that all kicks in at 2nd level, so we don't have to pick. Okay? Let me catch up with chat here real quick. You can be divorced and you need to adventure by living because you need to pay for child support. I like that. How long does it take to set up a D&D game? D&D game? That's purely on your DM. I can play a game without any preparation. You give me 5 minutes to get the basics of a story, I can make up a good story as we go along. I would prefer to have time to plan it out. I like to have a lot planned out ahead of time because I like maps and I like cities and I like having tons of NPCs. I like having plot hooks that I can build on for later. But in a pinch, somebody's like, hey, you free this weekend? We want to run some D&D? Give me a few minutes. I can put an adventure together. And the adventure will change drastically as we're playing because what you do makes it cooler than what I originally thought. So there's that. But yeah, the time purely takes on you. It's just creating a character usually is the longest part. Once you got a character down, you're ready to go. Lex also answered that question, and I didn't realize it. Thank you, Lex. Turtles, Weldraven, Mercy, and Company go versus a Turtle Dragon so it can count. There you go. That's true. Advantage, if you roll 2d20s for saves and choose the higher. Really? That's it? Oh, well, that's cool. That makes it way... Nowhere in the book does it just say that. That's way easier. So if you have advantage on something, you just get to roll 2 of the thing and pick the best number. I've been Googling it. It just doesn't have it that simple. That's perfect. Thank you, Michael. Hey, Sky. Thanks for popping by, bud. The site is still on October. Oh, I forgot to update the calendar. Thank you. Yes, I will do that. Hello, Sand. Sand Ruxtoon. Bro's birthday. We're going out. All right. Have yourself a good one, man. Party hard. The DM side of the story, but in the end, it depends. Yep. Yeah. It's all about, the DM has to have something, a path to start you on. Where that path goes, he can make it up and you can help him decide based on your actions. But usually it's good to have a rough idea of why you're doing what you're doing. And that doesn't mean it can't start as something small. You are hired because there's a rabid bear in the area, and you've taken on the job to earn some coin for the rabid bear. While doing that, you find a scroll that was supposed to be delivered, but the delivery guy who was delivering it was eaten by the bear. And you can't read the scroll because it seems magical, but it does have a name on it that is rumored to be a wizard that lives off in this haunted forest. That was 5 seconds of my life to put that together. And I now have probably 3 hours worth of content from that if I wanted to do that. Prepare yourself for that. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying, it just depends on how you want to put it together. Okay. So that's the basics for your stuff right now. So now we're going to bounce over to the druid. Do it. Okay. See these skills here? You can put a little check mark next to them over here, and then you're going to get to pick out of those which ones you want. Okay? So you're going to mark these, put a little check mark just so you know which ones you can choose out of. Okay? You get to choose 2 from Arcana, Animal. It should be alphabetical. Animal Handling. Sorry, it's Animal Handling. I didn't realize. Yes. Then after that is Insight, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Religion, and Survival. Okay? You can also speak Druidic, the secret language by druids. You also can cast spells. You will also get 2 cantrips. We'll look into the spell stuff, picking spells and figuring out spells. We're going to do some of that outside the game because I have to get myself that stuff. Got spellcasting. Wild shape. At 2nd level, you can use your action to assume the shape of a beast that you have seen before. So we will have to make a list of what beasts you've seen. Right? Because it's assuming you're going to have a pool of a few of them, right? And there's probably some limitations. Let me see here. You can use this feature twice. So you can become an animal and you can become normal again. Then you have to rest. Your druid level determines the beast you can transform into. Oh, there's a beast shapes table. So at 2nd level, no flying or you can be a wolf. 4th, you could be a crocodile. 8th, you could be a giant eagle. I'm going to add to that because I think it would be cool to do that. I in my mind, right there for the wild shape ability, I would view it. Have you ever seen the movie Jumper? Hayden Christensen stars in the movie.
Yes.
He's born with this ability that he can teleport or blink to a place he's seen. So if he has a picture of something, he can teleport to there. Cool ability. If you can see an animal and you have enough time to study the animal, if you see a picture of an eagle, you can't become an eagle. You see an eagle fly around for 5 minutes, you're like, I can do that. That's how I would see that. So there are times when we're in an adventure, I would think, because you'll have to remember this, we'll be like, okay, there's blah, 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 blah. You're attacked by wolves. At the end of the fight, she could say, was I able to see the wolves enough that I could take that shape? You know what I mean? Or something along those lines. Or, you see a bear or whatever the case may be, an elephant, a camel, whatever the case could be. We could figure that out. But I think it'd be fun to add to that list. I think that you'd probably have a maximum. So, like at set, maybe this would be my version of this. This is not what I'm seeing in the book. But you start off with, you could do 5. And they have to be out of a certain level, like no flying at that first level, right? And then every 3 levels, you can add 1 more, and it can be a new classification. And if you haven't added one, you don't have to use all your 5. You're like, I'm only going to use 2 of them right now. I'm going to save some, and then later on use one of those to get a cooler animal. Can't remove an animal once you've learned to become. Make sense? I think I would do something like that. Is there a best class to play for a first-time player? No, there's no such thing as dumb questions. Please hit me with that. That's the whole reason I do the Behind the Dice series. Behind the Dice is every other Thursday. I talk about D&D. We do some of this stuff. It's a way for you to ask questions. On the off weeks of that, I tell a Dungeons & Dragons story campaign I've been running for 30 years called Mergedworlds. Not had a chance to hear that. It's available on the channel here. iTunes, Spotify, you can learn a lot about D&D characters. If you're looking to build a character and you want something easy, a fighter. Just a regular, straight-up fighter. I hit things. That doesn't mean they can't be fun. You can add your own quirks to them. I'm a fighter, but I only use blunt weapons. I'm a fighter, but I'm a knife fighter by specific. I'm a fighter, and I believe in unarmed combat, so I only walk around with these big spiky gauntlets on. You could do that kind of thing. If you want to be a fighter and throw a cool race in there, like a Minotaur fighter. My first character was a Minotaur fighter. That adds some strength and the ability to stab people with my head, but it's mainly me bonking things. So fighter, if you really want something easy to get your feet wet, fighter, I think, is the easiest base class to play. You can't make a building jump. I can do anything. Beast Boy can do the same. Gotcha. The different levels gave you different sizes. I like the concept behind that. I could look into that. Second edition, it was more of like you could choose an animal and that was your animal, but you could become it way more often, if I remember correctly. Is a wizard hard to play with? Not really. That's going to depend on your DM. Wizards aren't hard to play. Wizards have a hard time living. Because wizards at a very low level class have very few spells and not a lot of protections. Based on my experience with again, I'm back in 5th edition, I'm learning. But normally, wizards had it rough at the beginning, but by the time everybody hits 8th level, wizards are flinging out fireballs and lightning bolts, destroying half the enemies before the warrior gets close enough to stab somebody with his poke stick. So, once you get to that higher level, the mage becomes the powerhouse in the group. I'm casting the big spell, everybody else runs in and cleans up what's left. That's why very often the wizard will be targeted first, because they don't know what level you are when they first see you. The bad guys. Wizards can be fun. Again, my first 2 characters, I played 2 at the same time. Minotaur, warrior, human mage. I preferred the human mage, because I liked the magic side of it. I liked coming up with the spells, but the Minotaur was a lot of fun too. Gotta go. All right, Panda, have a good one. Chat you later. So yes, and it also depends on how your dungeon master does spells. I can tell you right now, I will not be doing wizard spells the way it's written in the player's handbook. I haven't even read it yet, but I can almost guarantee you I'm not going to do it that way. And I say that because even in 2nd edition, I drastically changed it to be the way I wanted it to work. Because magic works a little differently on Merged Worlds. which is the world that all of my stories take place on, my own homemade world that I did. Magic works a little different there, so I tweaked it to make it work that way. Although what I've heard about this, it's a lot closer to my style. Still going to tweak it. All right. So you have wild shape that starts at second level. So you got a bunch of cool things that kick in at second and fourth and stuff, and so do you, and you just get more spells. But that's the equivalent of, right? So that's a lot of the basic setup there, right? So did you choose your weapons? What did you end up going with?
Staff, bonus line.
Excellent. And you are spear and a bonk stick. You are
Short sword.
Ashley sells seashells by the seashore. I have just learned.
Short. And a long.
Okay. But not two long swords and a short bow. One long sword, one short sword, and a long bow. Roll natural 20. No, okay. Excellent. Excellent. So you prefer longbows. Okay, that's cool. Doesn't mean you can't use them, though. That's your bow of choice. If you can use a longbow, you can also use a composite. Know the difference? Okay.
With the pulling
Yeah.
thing.
Composite strongbows are harder to pull back. They're very, very taut string. And because of that, it takes more strength. You get to use your second edition. I have to look this up in fifth. You get to use your strength bonus when doing damage with a composite bow, because how hard you're able to pull it back literally makes the difference. A Minotaur picks up a composite bow and the elf picks it up. He's going to do more damage, but the Minotaur is going to do way more with their arrow. So that can differ. A cool concept just to throw at you that I think would be fun. I've done something like this before. There are a lot of magical arrows out there, and a lot of times if they're really cool, you can only get one. So collecting magical arrows to do that one shot of a cool shot before running into melee, you're like, I'm going to choose. I could just picture like a belt with arrows, like in little holders. You're like, this arrow, this, like I just picture that. I did that with daggers. I had one of each different type of dagger. Dandy also went very much that. Fun thing, just to throw idea. You tool it to your own thing, of course. All right. Sacred plants and wood. Okay. So depending on where you're from, if you're a druid from the desert area, your desert region, you might value yucca tree and cactus plant. So we'll have to determine, what type of area you're from. I'm assuming regular woods, but if you want to go crazy and be from like the snowy mountains, which sounds odd potentially, but then you might be able to turn into like a snow leopard. I'm just saying, different things to consider, right? Where you're from, I think, would affect some of the couple of things. Hey, Lex, have a good one, bro. Oh, you too, G, dude. Yeah, we're at 10 o'clock now. Like I said, we're going a couple hours. We may go like another 30 minutes to an hour, just depending on how many people are hanging out. So we've got some weapons. Now, armor for you and armor for you. Did you pick your armor? Okay. You want to do light leather? Okay. Druids can use light armor, medium armor, shields, but you will not use armor or shields made of metal. So you can wear leather armor, basically, or padded armor. So you can wear like a light, soft. If you do get a shield, it has to be. But if you're using a spear, I don't think you. Just thoughts, Specialty path at 3rd level. For druids? Okay. Cool. Like I said, I'll read more into the advanced. Like, when I knew they were playing 2 clerics and a monk, I read into a bunch of those ahead of time. But I didn't quite know what classes they were going to pick today. So, perks, higher defense and such, makes you a little less agile. But you don't have to pick that right now. Okay, so let's look at the character sheet. See what else. Let's hit points, right? Well, first of all, let's get your stat bonuses. I guess that makes sense. Ability scores and modifiers. All right, so this is what you're going to write in your little circle next to your abilities. I'm just going to start reading out a number, and then, if you have that number. So, does anybody have anything 7 or lower? Cool. If you have an 8 or a 9, you get a -1. If you have a 10 or 11, you get a +0. You have a 7. You look here, and if you have a 7, you're going to look for that. You're good. No, you're fine. So if you have an 8 or a 9, have one of those. Oh. Charisma was 8. You know what it is? You were looking at Constitution. That's a 10. Okay, sorry. Editing things real quick. Using background pages from 3rd edition. I've never touched 3rd edition, so that I'm not sure. Never even held a book. So I'm not sure anything about 3rd edition. I've only played 2nd until I picked up a 5th edition book. Okay? So if you have 8 or a 9, it's a -1. If you have a 10, you put a +0. Or an 11. There are 3 of those. If you have a 12 or 13, it's a +1. If you have a 14 or 15, it's a +2. 16 or 17 is a +3. 18 or 19 is a +4. Anybody have 20 or higher? There we go. So we've got that. Okay. So I was pulling that up specifically because now we're going to do your hit points. All right. Let me grab hit points. Bard, no. Druid. Druid, you're first in my list. Your hit points are 8 plus your Constitution modifier. So 8 plus 2. You have 10 hit points. Where are hit points? 10 hit points. And I'll go to Ranger next because I'm doing it alphabetically. Ranger. Yours is 10 plus your Constitution modifier. And Wizard. You get 6 plus your Constitution modifier. That's awesome. Wizards used to get 4, period. 1d4,
Gotcha,
period.
okay.
That's way higher. Okay. But remember, your heart is held to hit.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the thing. If you're going to be a mage, let's see. Choose special path. When you play Sky Factory 4 again. Don't have anything specifically scheduled date-wise. Right now, I'm doing Sky Factory 1 on Sundays. And then in November here, I have to play 2 packs chosen by 2 people in the community who won the raffle. They're going to pick a pack that I have to play, and I have to play 5 episodes or stream 5 episodes of each. So I'm going to find out what those are this week, and I'm going to start streaming one of those starting next week after the Extra Life charity. 2 more than 2nd edition. Yep. Plus, you get the add Constitution bonus, which, to be honest, historically, Wizards did not have that good of a Constitution in 2nd edition.
He's just gonna hide in his shell.
I just figured out.
Which means I need, basically, most things need like a 20 to hit you. Unless it's a giant, and then he'll crush you like a whatum. Okay. So, We've got that part down. Speaking of Sky Factory, I'm enjoying sort of discovering stuff right now and have a mini farm of apples. Nice! I put some time into that today as well. Got some more resources built up. And I've come across, I'm not going to say what they are yet, but I'm going to stream this. I'm may do some Sky Factory 1 as part of the Extra Life charity. Normally, I'm going to keep it to just YouTube at this point, but I may do some Sky Factory 1 or pick a very weird other pack and just play it for like 5 hours on there. I am throwing some ideas around. But I have a couple actual goals to start working towards now that I'm excited to have. So that should be fun. Plus, somebody recommended getting a piece of gear of netherite, which I haven't done yet, and I feel like I should. Cocoa farm. Excellent. You can get cocoa seeds pretty easily in Sky Factory 1 from sieving sand, I think it is. I think you get cocoa seeds from that. Don't hold me to that. But I want to say I have some. All right. Let's see. What else have we got here that we need to look at? Current hit points. Speed. Armor class. All right. So we need to figure out what type of armor you can wear. So you can't wear... What page is armor on, actually? Did you have that open? I love you. 145. You know, second edition Player's Handbook, I can tell you where everything is. I don't know where anything is in the 5th yet. Leather? Black leather?
Can I do?
Studded leather? Yeah, you can be studded leather if it's there. As long as it lists that as beginning equipment under your character. You may have to pick out of what you can start with.
It just...
Okay, then you're good. I'll let you do it. I was going to say you do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you can wear padded armor, leather armor, studded leather, or hide armor. I would think you could probably do scale mail as a druid, right? Because that's not metal. Well, scale mail's not made of scale. But if you found scale mail made of scale, you could wear that. Does that make sense? Like if you happen to fight a dragon and you skin it and you have it made into armor, then that is magical armor because it gives defenses. Much like Darsh's big old shield. Yeah. But yes, breastplate, half plate, or metal. You're not going to do ring, chain. Splint is wood, but it's ugly. Don't ever do splint. Ugly. So for you, padded armor, leather armor, or studded leather armor, or you could just wear a robe, but I'll hit you a lot. In second edition, druids could only wear robes and the lightest of armors. A little bit different here. I'm fine with letting you wear some better armor. Okay. Oh.
You got studded. I don't want to.
Look, it's different. It's because you're wearing the same type of armor could look different. It could be green. You can have anything you like. Leather can be dyed all sorts of colors. Red.
Sure.
Wait. So you can pick leather, studded leather. You want to study
just
leather?
do this
Studded leather
studded
just means it
leather.
has a little metal balls on it that help deflect
Got the
weapons
little
and such.
rivets. And...
Okay, so let's write that under armor. Where does that go?
Us.
Right. Well, that tells us, well,
I wrote it down.
probably here under equipment. Write it there. Put down studded leather. Your armor class is 12 plus your dexterity modifier. Dexterity modifier is 0. So your armor class is 12. Let's see. I don't really enjoy sieving. Yeah, sieving, probably my least favorite thing in any of the Sky Factories. But I didn't find it as bad this time, and automating sieving wasn't that hard. I finally got it automated in the last one, so now I don't have to sieve manually anymore. It doesn't take too much to automatically set that up. Okay, so you got that. Neither of you are shielding, right? You're in a dual weapon. You're using a two-handed weapon, primary. And you have a shell. He has a shell. So we don't have to talk much about that. So then that means after that, we have to look at basic equipment and starting money. So I forget how 5th edition does starting money. Let me go back here and pull up Sorcerer, see if it lists. We got so much spell stuff to talk about, you and I, Jim. I'm very excited to go into Wizards. I was sad that nobody took a Wizard the first time. and I wanted to figure out their magic, so this will work out really well. Supreme Sneak. Oh, that's a rogue. Wizard. We'll start with Wizard just to see if it lists starting money. I think... Oh, wait, you got to pick all that other stupid stuff. I forgot about the stupid stuff. The backgrounds and things. I don't like the backgrounds. I'm not a fan of that. And feats. I got to figure out what feats are, too. See, this is the thing this is part of the thing that throws me off. Backgrounds and feats I'm not a huge fan of. But I guess we'll figure it out. Let's see. Feats. A feat represents a talent or area of expertise that gives characters special capabilities. Certain levels, your class gives you the ability to score improvement feature. What? I guess we'll get to that. So, how do you know how many feats you get?
Let's have 2.
Cool. Where did you... Wah, wah, wah. Unless you're poor. And do these count as scale mail? If they're Crocs? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. These are things we have to ask. Backgrounds, or if they have a sponsor. Whoa, sponsor's a whole nother thing.
Hey, what's happening?
Exactly. In second edition, it said Wizard, this much. Rogue, this much. I mean, you rolled. It was roll this many dices, but die for the technical minded. All right, where's backgrounds? Let's start with that.
1, 6.
Okay. Height and weight. I'll let you pick that. I'm not as worried about that. Personal characteristic, personality traits. That's all you guys. Inspiration. It's called Hanging Out with Draven. You don't need to go any further than that. Have level 1 feat, like a human variant, but at every 4 levels, a feat or a +2 of score. Okay, that's confusing. We'll look at that in a minute. Let's do the backgrounds first, because that at least you just get to pick something. Interesting.
I did.
Okay, whatever that was. Okay, backgrounds. Every story has a beginning. I'd much rather you create your own than give you a chosen background that the book says you should have. But, you know, if I'm playing in a group and they're like, I don't want any of these backgrounds, I want to create one of my own, I'm fine with that. And then we'll work out what equipment you can have. Because I'd much rather you customize it to your character than pick out a 7, you know? That's the thing. I understand a lot of it's about simplification, but in a lot of this, it seems like they're taking out the individualism of characters and making it just like everybody looks like this. All right. Each background gives a character proficiency in 2 skills described in Chapter 7. Good. I was afraid they put that in the same spot as the thing I'm looking at. That's, again, this is Draven gets critical of things. My biggest issue with 5th edition, biggest issue on top of everything else, this is a choose-your-own-adventure book. In no way is there any order or semblance to the direction of how this book is written. I'm creating a character, and I'm now 3/4 into the book to create characters where everything else is in the first 5 pages. I'm bouncing over, then I have to go back, and then I have to go forward. There should be one section, and this is what you pick out of, and you're good to go. Or at least have them in order, for Christ's sakes. Let's see the backgrounds here. Alkalite. Spent your life in the service of a temple or to a specific god or pantheon of gods. Oh, crap. That's a whole concept I didn't ask of you. Do you worship the goddess of nature? Cool. So, under religion, is there a spot for religion? There is not. Put that under bonds. Right on the line. Ready for this? I'm going to spell it for you. Ready? SAORSE. Saoirse, goddess of nature. So we will chat about that in a little bit as well. All right, let's figure out how these backgrounds work. Charlatan. Criminal I guess we're going to have to read these again before we pick one of those because there's a lot in there and I'm going to have to read it. Bond flaw. Okay. How do you spell it? Saoirse. It is an old Gaelic name. And it is also the name of my goddaughter. So I named it after her. She loves animals. Yes, that's Saoirse. Probably the only real hard one to spell of all the gods. I get a tickle when people are talking to me in chat about Merge Worlds and they spell someone's name and it's nowhere close to the spelling. I get a tickle out of that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, because sometimes it'll be like, not even close. Like, I'm like, there's not one letter in common with what the name actually is. But that's fun. That's your friend from Miss Winstein's name. I love very classic Scottish and Irish names. I come from a very Gaelic family on my grandmother's side. Her whole family has Gaelic names. My grandmother's name is Huina, which is also a Gaelic name. And last name is McGilvery. Scottish. That. She has 7 older brothers: David, Duncan, William, Clarence, Angus. All the classic Scotsy names. Did I ever tell you the cool story about how my grandma got her name? I'll give you a brief aside. Here's a brief story time on here for you. So, I'm going to tell it to you the same way my family has told it to me. So, my grandma has 7 older brothers. She was the 8th child. Her father was the equivalent of a Canadian cowboy who went out west to Vancouver where there was gold and silver rushes, just like there were down here. The Rockies run straight up there, the same type of thing. And he would come back to Ontario, where my family was, long enough to get my great-grandma pregnant and drop off some money. Usually how that worked. So he came back. Great-grandma got pregnant with my grandma. She was born. Great-grandma, decided to name her Huina and didn't give her a middle name. Okay? That was her name. Had that name for years. Then when she turned 5 years old, she had to go to kindergarten. And before she could go, she had to bring a copy of her birth certificate, which they'd never bothered to get because they didn't need it at that point. So they went and got a copy of her birth certificate, and it turns out Great-grandpa had sent in a copy of what he wanted it to be before hers ever arrived, and legally her name was not Huina. Her name was Marianne, and she also had no middle name. So she goes by Marianne Huina McGilvery, Britain, which is my grandpa's name. That's been her name now. But it blew my mind as a kid because we go to family gatherings. They keep talking about Huina, and I'm like, who the hell is this person? Huina, bring me some coffee. I guess she's lazy because grandma brought it. I don't know where this Huina... Like, it took me a couple years to figure out who the hell Huina was because you're grandma to me. I was a kid, right? And I'm like, well, grandma's bringing the cake. I guess Huina didn't want any of the cake. They said Huina should bring the cake. Maybe she doesn't like cake. I'd be mad, but that's more cake for me. I'm like, every year I'm like, who the hell is this Huina person? I'm 5 or 6, right? Trying to figure it out. But legally her name is Marianne Britton, but she uses Huina as her, even though it's not legally. But I always thought that was a really, really funny little story from growing up there. So thought I'd share that one for you. Coming to names there. But I grew up with that. Most of my great uncles could play the bagpipes. We have our clan tartan, had a kilt in our tartan. We're very into this. We're more Scottish than Irish, but I have several family members that speak fluent Gaelic. So I've always been very big into that side of my ancestry. So very often you'll hear me whip out Gaelic and Scottish and Irish names and stuff. Like in the current adventure, Fia is a traditional Scottish Gaelic name, and it's Fiade. It's pronounced Fia. And so her name is Fia O'Connor. I went a little bit more Irish than Scottish with that one. But she does not have the accent, or she does, and I'm just not doing it. Because I'm not going to do an Irish accent. Bagpipes are phenomenal. I agree 100%. Had I not moved to the United States, as the oldest of my generation and the oldest of 14 grandchildren, I was supposed to learn how to do them. I was excited about it. But then my family moved us to the U.S. and lost the opportunity. That's awesome. Jim's got bagpipes. No one blows on bags like Jim. Okay. Let's see here. So we're going to work on things like some of the personality traits, and I'm going to read up a bit more on feats because we've picked them for our last group, and I've already forgotten how they work exactly. I know you've said, but I'm going to need to read some more. Spells and such. Jim and I are going to go into in-depth on what he's going to pick. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how I'm seeing magic spells in 5th edition. And you guys may be like, Draven, that's exactly how it works. Surprise me. But from what at least I've learned of the 5th edition for clerics, there's a thing called... cantrips. Okay. So cantrips are basically, you get to pick several of those at the beginning. You can cast them as many times as you want. I love that. That's a 5th edition thing. Hello, kitty. That's a 5th edition thing, and I love it. Their 2nd edition did not have that. Cantrip was a spell, was a 1st edition spell that did half the things that the cantrips do, but it was a spell, and you could cast one spell a day, and it sucked. So I really like the idea of cantrips. At the same time, I do spell points. I do it the same with clerics. I've talked a bit about this on previous episodes, but I use a spell point system, which some people would call a mana system. You can cast one 1st level spell a day. That's limiting. I don't care which one you cast. If you know the spell, you can cast it. You never have to pick what spells you know at the beginning of the day. I hate that. It's asinine, and I find it overwhelmingly limiting. I don't know what spell I'm going to need today. That's silly. What's the point of learning to be a wizard and learning 100 spells if I'm supposed to psychically know which 4 I need today? Doesn't make sense. It makes less sense for a cleric. If the god is giving me spells, shouldn't they know what spells I need today? Better than I do. So, you can cast the same spell 5 times. You can cast 5 different spells 1 time each. If you know how to you know how to cast the spell, and you have a spell point in that level, you can do that. Now, one thing from 5th edition that I do like is using a higher level spell point to cast a lower level spell. That makes sense to me. I like that. And it really helps because, at least in 2nd edition, 2nd level spells for wizards sucked. There were not a lot of good spells in 2nd level that were good in like battle or combat or useful in those situations. A lot of fun things outside of combat, but not a spell you're ever going to pick or use. So a lot of people at the end of the fight would have no spells of any level but 5 2nd level spells they never cast. Because there just wasn't much to do with it. You didn't get the real powerful spells till 3rd edition, or 3rd level, which is your fireballs and your lightning bolts. So, being able to say, I've got 5 2nd level spell points, they're not that good, so I'm going to use them to cast slightly more powerful 1st level, love that. We're totally going to use that. I'm going to pull that in from 5th. But yeah, having to pick your spells ahead of time, I don't do that. Now, I am going to maintain the 2nd level spell cap, which means based on your intelligence, you can only learn a maximum amount of spells of a given level. So when you find a spell, if you want to, on a scroll, for example, you cast it off the scroll, 1 time use, the words disappear, didn't count against your spells for the day. Or, copy it to your spell book and make it one of your spells. But once it's your spell, can't get rid of it to pick another one. You got to be careful what you pick. 2nd edition, that was a standard. Maximum levels was based on your intelligence. Maximum levels for spells. If you could get up to a 19 intelligence, there was no cap. If you're that smart, you can remember that much stuff. It's basically super IQ. But at 18, you could have 16, which is still a lot of spells. You know, when you consider by the time you're like, okay, 1st and 2nd level spells, maybe 3rd, are the only ones you're going to have that many of. you're not going to have 16 8th level spells. It's just not going to happen. I mean, they're just not that easy to come across. You got to fight something strong enough to have that spell to get. And most of the time, you're not going to survive it because they're going to cast that spell on you. So, you've got to find something cool. The best way to find something like that is in like a treasure hoard. Find a wizard spellbook. So one thing that I do, that now that we have a wizard in the party that I'm very excited about, is the way I've always done spellbooks is that you have one spellbook for each level spell. You have a book for your first level spells, a book for your second level spells. Doesn't have to be a huge book. It can be a small book. You have to walk around the library on your back. She'd like that. But you don't have to. You just can have a small book with your notes in it, right? So that's cool. But if you're in a treasure hoard and you find a spell book, you might find a wizard's 4th level spell book. You might find a 2nd level spell book. And so how many spells are in there are going to depend on how high that level was. I have in a binder over there 200 spell books pre-created for 2nd edition. And I'm now going to have to change to work for 5th edition. But when we random roll for a treasure, I may have one specifically chosen, right? And it'll say random. But I have a selection of spell books that have sometimes not only better spells, but some custom-made spells I've created, and it will be so-and-so's spell book, number 4. That lets you know there's at least 3 more. Getting this set might have additional bonuses to it. Now, I haven't looked in 5th edition yet, but in 2nd edition, if you found a spell that you wanted, you had to copy it into your spellbook. Based on your intelligence, you had a percentage you had to roll to see if you did it right. If you did it wrong, you can't learn that spell. Did it right? Cool. Nobody has time for that. We're traveling in a dungeon. I don't have time for you to write out a novel. Some of these things take a lot of pages, right? And that's another thing. Spell takes a page level. Think about that. I got 5 first level spells. It takes 5 pages, right? 9th level spell takes 9 pages to point out exactly how big the book is going to need to be and how much money you have to spend. So, using that concept, right? Using that concept, there's a spell that came out in one of the later editions, the Tome of Magic in 2nd edition, called Copy. Cast that spell, and it automatically copies to your spellbook. Every wizard gets that spell at 1st level. You will have that spell. Now, if you can only cast 1 spell a day, that might be one you choose to use. You don't have any other spells left for the day in the 1st or 2nd level. That can hurt you a lot harder. But if you're like, oh yes, we're going to stay in town for 5 days. Cool. Each day I'm going to cast on one of these things and get it. And I think there's still a chance it fails, but it's like a 95% chance. As long as you're casting, as long as you're trying to copy a spell of at least your level or lower, you can't copy anything higher than you. So the copy spell goes into the repertoire of every wizard. If that's some type of what was the thing called again? Cantrip that they can have, sweet. That's even better. Cast as many times as you want. But if not, it will be a 1st level spell that I will carry over. I didn't see it in the Player's Handbook spells when I skimmed through them way back when I was looking at it. But it may have been under a different name now. But there's a lot of magical spells in 2nd edition that don't exist in 5th. And a lot of those are from expanded books like Tomes of Magic, Arcana, things like that, that may eventually come out in 5th in another one of the advanced books. I know a lot of the books, like Tasha's books, have those and stuff. So some of them may be out there in other books I don't have yet. I am going to convert a lot of those over or make them available to my players to use here or there or wherever. Mend is a great spell. My favorite 2 spells to have is Grease and Glitter Dust. Again, I don't know if they're in 5th edition. Grease spell you can cast on something, and it's overwhelmingly slippy. You cannot stand up on it. You have to have, you got to have like super dexterity. You can't stand up on it. I like to cast that on people's sword handles. and watch them trying to pull their sword out, and they can't because they can't get up on their sword. Or I love casting it on stairs and then making a loud noise at the bottom. And everybody comes down to see what the loud noise was, and you about kill all the guards in the castle while they're trying to get down the stairs. A fun little spell. I have, as a turd, because someone was picking on me, my character, at night cast that spell on the bottom of someone's boots. And then the next day they're going all over. Everybody's like, what's wrong with this guy? He's just slipping all over the place. It's fun for like 30 minutes. The DM and I did it. He didn't know what the hell was going on. But, yeah, it's a fun little prank you can play as a wizard. Glitter dust is a silly little spell. It fills the air with a thick cloud of glitter. It is festive. And if you cast that when you're trying to fight something invisible, you just found it. Because now you've got something covered in glitter and it does not just wipe off. So if you're fighting something that has invisibility or some type of blending, glitter does, and it doesn't list that as an ability, but very quickly we realized that's the most useful use for glitter dust. And people were like, I want glitter dust. Why? Because I'm sick of fighting invisible things. And puff a cloud. Whoever's wearing that magical cloak of blending just became annihilated. Very easy to do. So finding fun ways to use spells is a lot of fun too. I love it when someone's like, I'm going to use this spell to do this. I never thought. That's awesome. And combining spells with skills. Again, if you are someone who can cast vines, clerics specifically, who can vines twisty and stuff, but you have rope use as a skill, you can make them do all sorts of knots and things. Right? Why not? You know, so I'm here all week against my will. But let's see. You can do a lot of helpful stuff with that. Yep. Cast it under the high armored enemy and have fun. Exactly. Now you have to be able to see it. So if someone's standing up, I can't cast it under their feet. That's the one thing. I had to get the guy while he was laying down. I had to be able to cast it at a surface. Or I can cast it right in front of the guy, the high armored guy. And if he walks closer into melee, he's on his butt. But yeah, you have to be able to see it. You can't cast beyond the door or under someone's feet, that kind of thing. But still, casting it on stairs and the guards are all up there, or the goblins are out there, you know, you're down at the bottom like, I found a hero. They're like, oh god, blah, 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 blah. They come crashing down the stairs. You're just at the bottom poking them with swords and stuff. Fun ways to use silly spells. But yeah, I like those. So we're going to pick out some spells, Jim and I. And we're going to figure out what he's doing. I don't know how many he gets. I'm sure a few of the cantrips and then probably one regular spell. Probably going to toss you. Even though you can only cast one a day, probably.
Right.
I'll give you a couple so you got something to pick out of. Is Find Familiar in 5th edition? Find Familiar. It's a wizard spell you cast. And basically, an animal becomes your familiar. You can see out its eyeballs. You can hear what it's all that kind of stuff. You do have to keep it alive. You have to feed it. And you don't get to pick. It depends on where you are. You're in a sewer, you might get a rat. I mean, anywhere you are, you might get a rat. That's an easy one. But if you're in the woods, you might get an owl.
Yeah, it is.
You get a cat. It is?
Yeah.
Excellent. So Find Familiar is a great spell. It is not the spell you cast at first level. Because you are going to have a hard time keeping it alive. And I don't know about in 5th edition, but in 2nd edition, if it dies, you lose a constitution point permanently. And you can cast it again and get another one. But when it dies, you lose a constitution point. And they will die, even of old age. Eventually, you are accepting the fact you're going to lose a constitution. But they're very cool when you have them. I just don't recommend, even though it's a first level spell, I don't recommend doing it early. Because it's just too easy for them to die. Get some spells under your belt to help keep them alive.
That's not a thing.
What is?
Actually.
That's disappointing. We're probably going to change that. But I'm willing to bet they can't do quite. I'd have to look. Oh, thank you. One moment while I read things. A moment. Yeah, they really wimped that out. And you dispel it. Oh, sorry. It disappears to a pocket dimension. It's a challenge of that. They wimped out that spell. Nah, we're gonna hurt you. But we'll figure something out. We'll figure out. I'll figure out something halfway in between. I will. I feel like, me personally, if that was to be the spell, the way it's written, I would have made it a higher level. If you're going to take away those negatives, I would have made it at least a 3rd level spell. Granted, you've only got to cast it one time, right? But I'd make you have to be more powerful to be able to dismiss something to a pocket dimension. You can't do that with anything else at first. So I would think that I would have made that at least a 3rd level spell, or you could start whipping out undying familiars. But that's my point of view. We'll look into it. Well, guys, we are sitting here right at about 2 hours, almost 2.5. I think we've knocked out most of the stuff we're going to do today. I mean, we really can without reading in some more stuff. So we may go ahead and call it just a smidge earlier than I'd originally planned. Get some more time to get these characters set up. Get people familiar with their stuff. And then maybe sometime before the end of the month, we will get together and start an adventure for these folks. That sound okay to you guys?
That'd be cool.
Excellent. So hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed this little throw in together where we worked on characters and stuff. I will have a much better setup for streaming by the next time we do it. I'm thinking about trying to get like a 50-foot HDMI cable and running a second webcam to over there so I can sit here and dual split screen it where you could see me in the corner and you could see the group as the main thing. I also like that as well, Michael, where you can't recall it. If it's damaged, you can't recall it for 24 hours or something like that. You know what I mean? If you dismiss it, you're okay. But if it dies, there should be a bigger penalty than that. Teddy Bear Thief, got to go before I leave. Just want to say thanks for making these live streams. Me and some friends are newcomers to D&D, and these streams really help us out. Oh, awesome. See you next minute. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Thank you. I love that. That's gentleman said that him and his friends are new to it, and these streams really help. I appreciate it. That's why I love doing them. That's awesome. Thank you. So yeah, we'll be back here in 2 weeks for another one of these. Probably picking a topic. Someone in the community, Paul, suggested that when we talk, doing one a bit more on character creation specifics, which I may be able to do now that we're kind of hammering this out. But addressing some special features and stuff and lore behind how split races happen. Half elves, half dwarves, things like that. Especially in how they would be affected on Merged Worlds, because there are race combos on Merged Worlds that aren't normally found. There are limitations. You will not find a half Minotaur, half Kender. But yes, that's not going to happen. But very many of them, there are half dwarves and half gnomes and things of that nature. So you'll find stuff like that more commonly than you would on many other regular D&D, especially with the mixture of all the different races that I've brought into Merged Worlds. It gives me some more options there. But yeah, I think I'm going to call this one a day then. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. If you liked this, whether you're watching it today, tomorrow, 10 years down the road, it'd be awesome if you burped in the middle of that. It'd be awesome if you click like. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and hang out with us. I stream here normally on Sundays and Thursdays. And I'm over on my Twitch channel almost every other day of the week, sometimes twice. Twitch channel is Onlydraven Gaming, all one word, no spaces, no underscore. Come on over there, hang out with us too. I stream lots of different games, and even some. I'm looking to do something a bit more D&D themed here in the very near future. So maybe you might be interested in coming and checking that out too. All right. Next Thursday, I'll be back here at 8 p.m. Eastern for our next episode of Merged Worlds. We're only 2, maybe 3 episodes from completing the current storyline. And as I've hinted to friends, the storyline that hits off after that one is where from a Mergedworlds point of view, the shit will really hit the fan. The everything I've been building towards for years is really going to start to kick off after this storyline. So I'm very excited to get that ball rolling and eventually introduce a very cool character if my wife doesn't accidentally introduce it first. While we were having a big bite to eat before we started today, she's like, hey, whatever happened to? And I'm like, because she almost mentioned the very special character. So for non-kinky purposes, I may purchase a muzzle. What I'm trying to say is... Okay, I'm kidding. For kinky purposes, too. So overall, thank you all for attending the stream. Thank you for letting me share these type of content. I know most people come here for the video games, but I have a lot of fun sharing this stuff. And getting to share my very, very bestest friends with you as well. And the adventures we're going to have with this group. All right? Thank you all for coming. You folks have yourselves a wonderful evening, and I'll see you again very soon.